So uh, some housekeeping information. As I mentioned before, the webinar is being recorded, and I will share the recording with all registrants. Also, closed captioning has been enabled, so feel free to turn it on if you want to use it. I will speak for some 40 to 45 minutes, leaving at the end sometimes for questions, but you can start typing those questions at any moment, either in the chat or the Q&A windows of Zoom. And finally, as I mentioned early on, this is not an introduction to protocols.io, and my presentation assumes certain familiarity with the platform. In case you are not an advanced user, you're welcome to stay, but I want to point out to other resources where you can start familiarizing yourself with the many different tools and functionality of protocols.io. So at the bottom of the slide, you will see two URLs. The first one will take you to the list of our regularly scheduled webinars, and in those we have some introductions. And the last URL is a link that will take you to a one-to-one demo in which you can ask any question that you might have about the platform with one of our specialists. But today, we will be highlighting some features that might take you a couple of months before you encounter them, and could be, however, very useful from the start. So I'm going to be focusing on these things from the file manager, the workspace, and the editor that are not necessarily instantly discoverable. But I have to say that the platform, it's pretty intuitive. So let's begin with the agenda. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the editor, some functionality that is relatively advanced, as well as some features of the file manager and the workspaces when it comes to sharing your protocols. So to begin with, I'm going to be moving now to the live demo. So you should be able to see my own personal account in protocols.io, and I will be demoing from this one. Just to orient ourselves, to the left, what you see moving up and down, these are the many workspaces to which I belong, but I will be working from my own personal workspace. Each workspace comes with a folder that contains subfolders and a series of documents. But again, I'm going to be working from my own personal workspace that has several folders and some documents here as well. So the first step for me will be to show how to bring into the platform existing protocols that you might have already developed, and you might have them as a Word document or as a PDF. So I'm going to just stop sharing briefly and reshare my whole screen. And now you can see, in addition to my file manager, you can see my hard drive in which I have a series of protocols in different formats. I have PDFs, I have Word documents, and I'm just going to open one of these protocols for you to see. You know, this is a traditional protocol that comes with a title, an abstract, and then sections and steps. So the easiest way for you to centralize your existing protocols in protocols.io is just to drag and drop them. So I have created a folder for this presentation, which I'm going to open. Not that folder, sorry, this folder. And I already have two protocols in there, two demo protocols, but I'm going to bring these four protocols. So I just drag them and drop them. And easily, they have been centralized in the platform. This is a way for you to easily share the protocols with all the members of your workspace. If you want to invite people to your workspace to be able for them to see these protocols that you have just imported, if you have already created your workspace, you can go to the administration menu, select members, and you can start inviting people by typing their email address. They will receive an email notification, and by following the link, they will be able to access your workspace. Once a member of the workspace, they can see immediately all the files or documents that you have uploaded to your workspace. You can also share beyond your workspace, not only protocols, but also these documents that I already imported. You can select any of these documents, select the button share, and now you can send this specific protocol with colleagues beyond their workspace by typing their email address. Once you add a colleague to a protocol, you can tailor what they can do with that protocol. So you can tailor the permissions and set them as viewers, editors, or even publishers. However, while you can publish protocols created with the editor, and you can see this here, so I select any of these two protocols, and I have an option to publish. However, if I select the PDF that I imported or the Word document, I don't have the option to publish them. And that is because they are not protocols created with the editor, but these are documents in their original format. I'm going to teach you, however, how you can very easily transform these PDFs or Word documents into a protocol created by the editor. You can select any of these protocols, select create a new protocol from this file. I'm going to use this short version just because it will take a little bit less of time. I agree to use an OpenAI to transform my Word document into a protocol, and I convert. And now we just have to wait a few minutes. It is done. I can now view the protocol. And you will see that the Word document has been transformed into this protocol with a title, the abstract, and the steps. If you don't want to use AI, there is also a way for you to manually import the steps. So I'm going to open my Word document that I created. I have downloaded it. This is the protocol. And I can take the following steps, copy them, and in the protocol that we created, here I can add a new section. and then insert the steps. I said insert steps from text. I paste the steps that I copied from the Word document. I preview, and now I can add to the protocol. If I reopen my Word document, I can see what is the name of that section and paste it here. Now I have a protocol with 3 sections and several steps. So you can either use AI to quickly transform your PDFs or Word documents into protocols, or you can do this manually with a parser that is called insert steps from text. Now let's work a little bit on advanced functionality of the editor, which is what we see on the screen right now. This is the editor. So as you will see, there are some volumes here, which we can create. These are the components, the volumes. I can add them as amount. So 3 mLs. There is also a time here. There's an incubation of 10 minutes, which I can transform into a duration. And there is a temperature here that I can also mark. And added components will give your protocol a lot of structure as well. And particularly the amounts and the durations are very useful when running protocols. And I will come back to that a little bit later on. You can also add tables to a protocol. Tables are easily created here. So I added a table, and let's say this is a table to make a buffer. So I can write reagent volume in microliters and 5x. You can call this reagent A, reagent B, total 45, 5, and the tables accept formulas. So I can say this is actually the sum of B2, B3. Oh, wait. Of B2 plus B3. And this will be B2 times 5. So I've multiplied column B by 5. You can also import an existing table that you already pre-created in Excel or Google Sheets. So I'm going to add a second table here. And I'm going to show you here that I have a table that contains some values. Column C, it's also a formula, as you can see. I'm going to take the values, copy them, and paste them in this empty table. Now the values have been copied. However, in column C, the formulas were not imported, just the values. If I want to import the formulas from Excel, I have to select View, Show Formulas. Now the formulas are explicitly spelled out. I can copy it again. Paste them here. And now the formulas have been imported, as you can see here. I can also insert images, videos, or embed them. To insert images, I go to Insert Image or Video. I search for the image that I want to insert. And now an image has been inserted into my protocol. I can also embed a video. So here in YouTube, I pre-uploaded a video that explains how to load in agarose gel. If I want to embed this video in my protocol, from YouTube, I select Share, I select Embed, I copy the HTML text, go back to my protocol, embed media, paste the code, and now the video has been embedded. So it is not shown just as a hyperlink, but you actually get the video and you can play it directly from your protocol. Now we're going to move a little bit into more advanced features. I'm going to show you a component that looks like a table, but we call it's an actional table during a run. And we call this the smart component. I can search for the component here, and I will be adding rows. Now, as you see, it looks like a table. I'm gonna mark both rows as required. And let's imagine that I'm doing an experiment in which I have to count dead cells in a microscope field. So first, I want to quantify the total number of cells, and then those that are dead. And now I add the component. You see, it looks like a table, but it's an actionable table during the run. To show you how it works, let's run my protocol. I'm gonna go back to my file manager, reload it. This is the protocol we have been working on. I can highlight it, and then I can run my protocol when I do my experiment. I'm gonna select in what folder to save the run. I'm gonna start the run. And now I can follow the experiment step by step. And I'm gonna show you a couple of tricks now. You remember that we added amount components. The amount components allow you to scale up and down your protocol. For example, I can select these 3 buttons, say I want to scale my protocol, and I'm going to scale it to 2.5. I save it, and now all the amounts were multiplied by 2.5. They are highlighted in red, and they are scaled by 2.5. Another cool feature is the duration. The duration actually works as a timer. So as I make progress in my protocol, I mark each step as done. When I reach a step second that has the duration, I can play the timer. And once the 10 minutes are over, the computer or tablet, depending on what I am using, it will beep and let me know that the time is over. I keep making progress in my protocol. And when I reach the smart component, I'm not allowed to proceed because I need to enter the values. Let's say that in my experiment, counting dead cells in the microscope field, I counted 52 total cells, of which 16 were dead. I have entered the values, and now I can proceed. And now, if I want to stop my experiment, or if I stop my experiment, I can finish the run. And if I go back to my file manager, I will see that my experiment has been finalized. This is a completed run record. And if I open the run record, I will see that the values that I entered in the smart component had been saved. But let's go back to editing our protocol and keep exploring some more functionality. I'm going to go to the end of the protocol and show you that you can also make a protocol bifurcate. If you if your protocol needs different conditions, so it is as a if then. So I can keep adding steps, but in this case, what I'm going to add is what we call a step case. The step case allows you to bifurcate your protocol in different conditions. Let's say that this is a protocol that can be applied to either lung or hard tissue, and the conditions for each of those tissues is different. So I can create a case for the lung. The short title will only be lung. The case description is the following steps. Apply only to lung tissue. I add the step case, and now I can add steps to that case, to that branch of the protocol. Lung step 1, lung step 2, lung step 3. But I can also apply this protocol hard with different steps. So I can add an additional case, hard tissue, heart, and then I can add specific texts here. Follow the steps below if using heart. And the step case. So I have lung with 3 steps and heart with 0 steps. But now I can add new steps to the heart. And the heart only needs 2 steps, not 3. And let's imagine that now, after the 3 steps of the lung and the 2 steps of the heart, you can follow the same protocol for both. In that case, I can keep adding steps and call it common step 1, common step 2. I can take these steps. I can take these 2 steps. I can copy the selected steps, go back to the heart, and insert the steps. So now I have a long branch with 5 steps, 3 steps specific for the long, and 2 common steps. And the heart, I have 2 steps for the heart and 2 common steps. If I go to the viewer, I will see that my protocol looks like this. And when I reach the step case at the very end, I can toggle between the long and the heart. I'm going to go back to the editor. And just for ease, I'm going to rename this protocol as demo today's date and the letter C. With this button, again, I have access to the editor, but I can also create collections of protocols. Let's imagine that I'm putting together a series of protocols that all belong to the same paper. Rather than submitting each of the protocols independently, I can publish a single collection that contains all my protocols, and I can share that link with the reviewers, for example. So I'm going to select a new collection. I select the folder in which this collection is going to be created. I call it collection demo and today date. And now I can start searching for protocols. I can search public protocols, but I can also search only my files. I'm going to search for the protocols that are called demo 2005, and I have 3 protocols, A, B, and C. A, B were pre-created before I started this webinar, and we together have been creating the protocol C. So I'm going to add the protocol A, the protocol B, and the protocol C to my collection. You will see that I have added those protocols to the collection. I can move the protocols up and down. So I can organize the protocols. And if I go to view in the abstract, in the description, I can add an abstract to my collection. This is the collection of protocols for paper X. And if I go to view the collection, I will see that my collection has an abstract, has a title, and has the protocols. And then I can open each protocol individually and see the protocol itself. If I publish a collection, it will receive a DOI, and each protocol will also be automatically published, and each of them will receive another different DOI. I'm going to reload it. To publish my collection or to publish one protocol, I just select publish. And then I have to complete a 6-step workflow. We don't peer review the protocols. We only moderate to weed out spam, but you can make your protocol right away. Moderate public right away. So moderation usually takes between 24 and 48 hours. In addition to publishing, you can also reserve a DOI. Reserve a DOI means that you will be reserving a DOI without making the protocol public. So you can share a link with the reviewers if this collection of protocols is part of a submission to a journal, but you don't have to make your protocols public right away before acceptance. So you reserve a DOI, you share a private link with the reviewers, and once your paper is accepted, you can go ahead and publish the collection. to get a private link, you highlight the document that you want to share, click the share button, and you click get reviewer link, and then you generate a private link, and then you can copy and share by pasting this in your submission or just sending it via email. And the last thing that I want to show before I open the floor for questions is about creating versions, copies, and forks. So if I open any of my protocols, this is a protocol that we have been creating together, and I go to the view, I can, selecting these three buttons, I can create a new version. Versions reside on top of each other. We recommend creating versions when you want to correct or improve an existing protocol for the same purpose. So if I create a new version, again, I select the folder in which I'm going to save this version. I'm going to change the title of that version just to make it clear that it's version 2. And now if I go to my file manager, I will see that protocol C has two versions. You can see here version, there is one version and there is a second version. If I open any of these protocols, and if I go to the viewer, I will see that I can toggle back and forth between the two versions. And if I make a change to version 2, let's say I'm going to change this volume. I can change this volume to 1.7. If I go to the viewer, I can ask the platform to compare two versions, and the changes are automatically highlighted. This is a step in which I made a change. So the second version has 1.7, the original version has 1.3. In addition to creating versions, you can also create forks. You can highlight the protocol that you want to fork and select create a copy or fork, and you can create a fork. We recommend using forks when you want to modify the protocol significantly to make it work in a different condition or for a slightly different purpose. Let's say that you have developed and optimized a protocol to make it work in mouse, but now you have to make some major changes to make it work in rats. That is what we call a fork. So if I create a fork, I'm going to add a title. This is protocol for rats, not mice. And now I create a fork of my protocol. You can see that it is clearly labeled as a fork. If I open the protocol, and if I view the protocol, I will see that there's an indication that this protocol was forked from an original protocol. And if I make changes to the protocol, let's say here, instead of 10 minutes, I need to incubate for 14 minutes. I can also ask the platform to compare the original protocol with the one that was optimized. But you can also fork public protocols. Any public protocol can be forked. So I can search for a public protocol. If I think that this protocol might work for me, but I need to modify it slightly to make it work for my own conditions, I can copy and make my own private fork. I have taken a public protocol that I think might work for me. And if I go to my file manager, I will see that I created a fork of an existing protocol that now I can open and start editing it to make it work for my own conditions. And if I view the protocol, I will see that there's an indication that this protocol was forked from an original one. Lastly, you can also make a copy. However, the copies do not preserve the line of credit. Copies will be cloning the protocol, but making the two versions or the two clones independent of each other. We only recommend using copying because provenance is not maintained when you are generating, let's say, a template that contains all the metadata. So you're putting together or you're creating protocols for a single paper, but each protocol is different from each other, but they share authors, affiliation, and funders. So you can create a template that contains that information and then create multiple copies. To copy a protocol, again, I select the protocol that I want to copy, create a copy, and now I make a copy. I have created the copy, and as you will see, the line of credit hasn't been preserved. So copying is different from forking. And copying is restricted to your own protocols. You can fork any private protocol to which you have access. You can fork any public protocol, but you can only copy your own protocols because the line of credit is not preserved. And with that, I will finish my presentation today and open the floor for questions. Remember, I will be sharing the recording with all of you. And if you don't have any questions now, you can always email me later at the emails that you see on this slide. Well, if there are no questions, I thank you again for your attendance, and I hope that the information I presented to you is useful.